This season we went through with some inconsistency at quarterback, and that led to massive problems. But this team, when you look at the special teams, when you look at the turnovers that we created, when you look at Jonathan Taylor and you look at the offensive line, you know, there's a lot of special things there.
Here we go again. Jim Irsay is back, high off the potential of his team, his recent acquisition of Matt Ryan, and probably some other substances, because we know how Papa Irsay get down. He don't play. He get down. He's with it. But luckily, me and Colin Cowherd are here to set him straight once again. Welcome to Beyond the Box Score, where we go beyond the box score to discuss popular stories in sports. But first, please like and subscribe to the channel. It takes me a couple hours to do the audio and video work, so take a few seconds to show some love, help a brother out if you like the content. I greatly appreciate it. Now, Jim Irsay is back again, dancing on the grave of Carson Wentz, talking smack about my quarterback, and I ain't having that, okay? Jim Irsay, to me, he's like the Jerry Jones of the North, right? You got Jerry Jones in the South, you got Jim Irsay in the North, you got the Davis family in the West, and then in the East, you got everyone's most hated dysfunctional owner, Daniel Snyder. And all these owners all think they're bigger than their teams, all think they know more about football than they really know, and all ride egotistically on the glory of their team's past success. And because Jim Irsay thinks he's so sharp when it comes to personnel, he's still blaming Carson Wentz for not elevating the Colts last year, and foolishly thinks that Matt Ryan will magically do it this year, despite the fact that he once again has not really improved much besides arguably the quarterback position. Jim Irsay refuses to accept that the AFC gets better year after year. Last year, the Chargers got better. The Patriots got better. The Raiders got better. They added weapons. The Colts did not. And he thinks that adding a quarterback is just going to magically elevate them to Super Bowl status, despite the fact when you look at the weapons beyond Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr., they're lacking compared to other teams across the league, let alone the AFC. If you look at the player rankings, the Colts only have one top 50 wide receiver. Most good teams have at least two. If you look at the tight end rankings, the Colts don't even have a top 20 tight end. Most of the good teams have one. So I just don't see Matt Ryan's play being able to overcome the flaws that have plagued the Indianapolis Colts the past few seasons, and Cowherd seems to agree.
Matt Ryan's going to find this out very quickly, is that Carson Wentz, who is a very aggressive player, played recklessly. Well, a lot of times he was just trying to make a play that his wide receiver crew couldn't. He was trying to make plays because you got to have big plays to win. And outside of Pittman, they didn't have really anybody that could deliver down the field for them on the perimeter. So what you had is Carson Wentz, a bit of a playmaker. Now, Matt Ryan's not. So Matt Ryan is not going to make some of the mistakes Carson Wentz did, but he's also not going to escape a lot of the problems Carson Wentz did.
So now, Jim Irsay, yes, Jim Irsay, the guy who traded a first-round pick for Trent Richardson, only to find out Trent Richardson couldn't find a hole in a brothel. Jim Irsay thinks Matt Ryan is going to be the missing piece to his championship puzzle. Carson Wentz was a top 10 quarterback last year. Matt Ryan was in the high teens at best. Carson Wentz had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a 94.6 passer rating, while Matt Ryan had 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a 90.4 passer rating. So you're getting less touchdowns, more interceptions, and you're getting an older, slower quarterback. So the escapability factor when plays go wrong is not there. Jim Irsay is looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the LA Rams, and he's lying to himself. He's telling himself that he just added Tom Brady or he just added Matt Stafford. Matt Ryan is neither. You know, you can look at the old and slow narrative. Tom Brady's old and slow, but Matt Ryan is not Tom Brady. And on top of that, the Bucks and the Rams did more than just improve the quarterback position. After they added Stafford, after they added Tom Brady, they added skill players. They loaded up on their defense. So once again, the Colts find themselves placing all their hope in the fact that they brought in a new quarterback. They didn't add a new receiver. They didn't upgrade at the tight end position. They didn't switch it up at running back, so they got a pass catching threat. They just brought in Matt Ryan, a guy who doesn't have better stats than the guy they had last year. And you're going to pick them to do better than the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, the Chargers with their additions of Khalil Mack, the Broncos with their addition of Russell Wilson, the Ravens coming back healthy, Miami with their addition of Tyreek Hill and company, the Raiders, the Steelers? No. And even from a fantasy football perspective, after you draft Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr., there's really no other consistent scoring options to choose from. So the AFC is going to make sure Jim Irsay and Colts fans get slapped back to reality. And they're going to have to accept that the truth is that he still has a lot of holes and flaws to address in his team. And the Colts are not a top team in the AFC, let alone the NFL. Based on the moves made this offseason and the changes in their respective conferences, I could see the Colts missing the playoffs this year and the Commanders barely sneaking in there as a wild card. So is Matt Ryan the solution? Was Carson Wentz the problem the whole time? Or are Jim Irsay and the Colts fans in for another rude awakening when they realize that quarterback isn't the only problem on the Indianapolis Colts roster? You tell me. Let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Beyond the Box Score. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. Drop a like on there for your boy to help the channel out. Till next time, I'm out.